Did you know that if you're 75 or over and living in the UK, you could be entitled to a completely free TV license, worth over $169 a year? But here's the part most people miss. It's not automatic. There's one crucial rule standing between you and that free license, and thousands of pensioners are losing out simply because nobody told them about it. The rule comes down to something called pension credit, a government benefit that many eligible seniors have never even applied for. And here's what's shocking. Age UK estimates that around 880,000 pensioners who qualify for pension credit aren't claiming it. That means they're also missing out on their free TV license, and potentially hundreds of pounds in other benefits too. In this video, I'm going to walk you through exactly who qualifies, how pension credit connects to your free license, and the simple steps to check your eligibility today. No complicated forms, no confusion. This is money you're entitled to. Don't leave it on the table. If you find this helpful, hit that like button right now. It helps us reach more seniors who need this information. Let's get started. Now, before we get into all the details, I just want to take a moment to say, if you're watching this video, you're already doing something really important. You're taking the time to find out what you're entitled to. And that matters because the truth is, the system doesn't always make it easy for people to know what help is available. Information gets buried, forms feel complicated, and sometimes it just feels like nobody is on your side. Well, today, I want to be that person for you. So let's take this step by step, nice and clearly, so that by the end of this video, you know exactly where you stand. Let's start right at the beginning. The free TV license for people aged 75 and over was originally a universal benefit. That means that if you were 75 or older, you automatically received a free TV license. End of story. No conditions, no means testing, nothing. It was introduced back in 2000 by the then Labour government, and for nearly 2 decades, older people across the UK enjoyed that benefit without having to jump through any hoops. It was simple, it was fair, and it was something pensioners genuinely valued. But then things changed. In 2020, the BBC took over responsibility for the free TV license concession from the government, and when they did, they also changed the rules. Suddenly, the free TV license was no longer available to everyone over 75. Instead, it became linked to a specific benefit, and that benefit is called pension credit. From June 2020 onwards, if you are 75 or over and you receive pension credit, you qualify for a free TV license. But if you don't receive pension credit, even if you're in your 80s or 90s, you have to pay for your TV license just like everyone else. Now, I know that might feel frustrating to hear, and honestly, when this change was first announced, there was enormous backlash. Pensioner groups, charities, and members of parliament all spoke out about how unfair it was. Many older people who had relied on that free license for years suddenly found themselves with an unexpected bill. And for people living on a fixed income, $169 is not a small amount of money. That's grocery shopping, that's heating bills, that's a visit from the grandchildren. So yes, this matters. And it's why understanding the pension credit link is so important. So let's talk about pension credit properly, because this is the heart of everything. Pension credit is a government benefit designed specifically for people of state pension age who are on a lower income. It is not the same as the state pension. A lot of people get confused about that, so I want to be really clear. The state pension is what you receive based on your national insurance contributions over your working life. Pension credit is a separate, means-tested top-up that the government provides to help people whose income falls below a certain threshold. And here's the important thing. Pension credit is entirely free to claim. It does not affect your state pension, and receiving it can unlock a whole range of other benefits, including that free TV license we've been talking about. Pension credit comes in 2 parts. The first part is called the guarantee credit, and this tops up your weekly income to a minimum level. At the time of this video, that minimum level is $218.15 per week for a single person and $332.95 per week for a couple. So if your weekly income from your pension or other sources falls below those figures, you may well be entitled to guarantee credit to bring you up to that level. The second part is called savings credit, and this is available to people who reached state pension age before 6th of April 2016. It's a small additional top-up for people who saved a modest amount towards their retirement. Not everyone will qualify for both parts, but many people qualify for at least one. And even receiving a very small amount of pension credit is enough to unlock your free TV license. Now, here is where things get really important, and I want you to listen closely to this part. The rules around what counts as income for pension credit purposes are quite broad. Your income includes things like your state pension, any private or workplace pension, any earnings if you're still working part-time, and certain other benefits. However, the calculation also takes into account any savings and capital you have, but not in the way you might think. If you have savings above $10,000, the government assumes you receive a certain amount of income from those savings, whether you actually do or not. This is called a tariff income. But here's the thing, having savings doesn't automatically disqualify you. Many people assume that because they have some money set aside, they won't qualify for pension credit. That is a really common misconception, and it stops a lot of people from even bothering to check. Please don't make that mistake. The only way to know for certain whether you qualify is to actually check. And I'll tell you exactly how to do that in just a few minutes. One of the reasons so many eligible pensioners aren't claiming pension credit is something that researchers and charities call take-up rates. Essentially, take-up rate refers to the percentage of people who are actually receiving a benefit compared to the number of people who are entitled to it. And for pension credit, the take-up rate is genuinely worrying. Estimates suggest that somewhere between 35 and 40% of people who are entitled to pension credit are not claiming it. That's nearly 4 in 10 pensioners who are missing out on money that is legally theirs. And when you consider that the average unclaimed amount is worth hundreds of pounds per year, sometimes over £1,000 when you add in all the associated benefits, that is a really significant sum slipping through the cracks. So why aren't people claiming it? Well, there are a few reasons, and none of them reflect badly on the individuals involved. Some people simply don't know it exists or don't realize they might qualify. Others feel uncomfortable about claiming benefits. There's still a generation of people who were raised to believe that asking for help is something to be ashamed of, and I really want to gently push back on that today. Pension credit is not charity. It is not a handout. It is a government benefit that exists precisely because society recognizes that retired people deserve a dignified standard of living. You paid into the system your whole working life. Claiming what you're entitled to is not just acceptable, it's absolutely the right thing to do, for yourself and for your family. Others find the process confusing or worry it will affect other benefits they're already receiving. And some people genuinely believe that because they own their home or have a small amount of savings, they simply won't qualify. Again, these are understandable concerns, but they are often based on incomplete information. The rules around pension credit have a lot of nuance built into them, and many people are surprised to find that they do qualify, even when they assumed they wouldn't. Let me give you an example to make this feel more real. Imagine a woman, let's call her Margaret. Margaret is 78 years old. She lives alone in a modest home in the Midlands that she owns outright. She receives the full new state pension, which is currently $221.20 per week. She also has some savings, about $12,000 in a cash ISA. Now, Margaret might look at her situation and think, I own my home, I have a bit of savings, I get my state pension, I probably don't qualify for anything. But when you actually run the numbers, Margaret's weekly income is only marginally above the guarantee credit threshold. Once the tariff income from her savings is factored in, her total assessed income might be just slightly over the limit, or it might actually fall below it. Without checking, Margaret has no idea. And if she never checks, she'll never know that she might be entitled to pension credit, a free TV license, help with her council tax, help with NHS dental treatment, and potentially much more. All of that simply by making one phone call or filling in one form. That example is not unusual. It is, in fact, incredibly common, and I tell you this not to make anyone feel bad for not knowing, but to show you how close many people are to qualifying without realizing it. The margin can be very small, and small margins matter enormously in retirement when every pound counts. Now, let's talk about how you actually go about checking whether you qualify, and if so, how you apply. There are a few different ways to do this, and I want to give you all of them so you can choose the one that feels most comfortable. The most direct way is to call the pension credit claim line. The number is 0800 99 1234. That's a free call, and it's available Monday to Friday from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. When you call, a trained advisor will go through your circumstances with you, your income, your savings, your living situation, and they'll be able to tell you right then and there whether you're likely to qualify. And if you are, they can actually take your application over the phone. You don't need to fill in any forms if you don't want to. You can do the whole thing just by having a conversation. For many people, especially those who find forms or computers daunting, this is genuinely the easiest option. If you'd prefer to do it yourself online, you can apply through the government's official website at gov.uk. There is a pension credit calculator on there that allows you to enter your details and get an instant estimate of whether you qualify and how much you might receive. It's a useful starting point, and it's completely anonymous. You're not making any kind of commitment just by using the calculator. If you'd prefer support in person, organizations like Citizens Advice are absolutely brilliant for this. They have trained advisors who can sit down with you, go through your circumstances, and help you with the application from start to finish. Age UK also has a benefits helpline. Their number is 0800 678 1602, and they offer free confidential advice specifically for older people. There is absolutely no pressure and no judgment. These organizations exist entirely to help people like you. It's also worth knowing that once your pension credit claim is approved, you can apply for your free TV license through TV licensing directly. The process is straightforward. You simply need to confirm that you're age 75 or over and that you're in receipt of pension credit. You can do this online at tvlicensing.co.uk or by calling them on 0300 790 6131. If you're already paying for a TV license, you may be entitled to a refund for any period you were entitled to a free one. So it's definitely worth looking into. There's one more thing I want to mention before we move on, and it's something that doesn't get talked about nearly enough. Pension credit isn't just about the TV license. When you're in receipt of pension credit, it acts as what's called a passport benefit. That means it unlocks access to a whole range of other support that you might otherwise have to apply for separately and prove eligibility for. We're talking about help with your council tax bill through council tax reduction. We're talking about a free NHS dental checkup and help with the cost of glasses. If you're on a low income and receiving pension credit, you may qualify for the Warm Home Discount, a one-off annual payment of $150 to help with heating costs. You may qualify for housing benefit if you're renting. You may be entitled to free school meals for grandchildren you care for, and you'll automatically qualify for the cold weather payment, which is $25 for every 7-day period when temperatures drop to 0 degrees or below in your local area. All of this, all of it, can flow from a single successful pension credit application. So even if you think the amount of pension credit you'd receive would be quite small, the wider value of that claim could be genuinely life-changing. Please don't dismiss it just because you think the weekly top-up might be modest. The passport benefits alone can be worth hundreds or even thousands of pounds over the course of a year. I also want to address something specifically for those of you watching who have a partner. If you live with a partner and one of you is over state pension age, you may still be able to claim pension credit as a couple, even if one of you is under state pension age. The rules around mixed-age couples changed in 2019, so the situation is a little more complex, but it's still absolutely worth checking, because some couples do still qualify. An advisor from Citizens Advice or Age UK can help you work out your specific situation if you're unsure. And for those of you who are watching on behalf of an elderly parent, a grandparent, a neighbor, or a friend, thank you. Truly. The fact that you're here, taking the time to learn about this so you can help someone you care about, is a really kind thing to do. Sometimes older people need a nudge, or they need someone to sit with them while they make that phone call, or they just need reassurance that it's okay to ask for help. If you can be that person for someone in your life, you could genuinely make a very real difference to their day-to-day quality of life.